I'ma make it by. Just let a man breathe and just hush so my mind could just see, so my mind don't erupt. At times I feel I can't get enough, but I sip a double cup and I spend a couple bucks. Sending out some love to my blood, to my girl, to my buds, to the homie up above.
Uh-oh. What's up, folks? MCU's Bleeding Edge in the house. Wednesday evening. 11/8/2023. The Godfather Part II. Review. As we slammed out The Godfather already, and we appreciate all of you that caught The Godfather, our Godfather, first Godfather review. But either way, I'm Jeff S., a.k.a. TrueKnowledge. Humbled to be the creator and co-host of the MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. Just saw the fucking bill for Rockville next year. Looks fucking sick. Cyber. Shit is dope. Cyberneticshark hold it down on the guest panel tonight with Andre's pop culture guy. Regular guest. Special guest co-host of the MCU's Bleeding Edge report on Mondays. And we've got Matthew. He's got the Aussie COVID, but he's still coming on. He's going to troop it through eventually here at some point. But Cyberneticshark, let me start with you off right off the bat. We just threw the first Godfather at you. What having watched The Godfather, what were you looking for going into Godfather 2, knowing already knowing De Niro was in it and that it was going to be sort of like a dual story, paralleled kind of deal?
I honestly wasn't looking for anything. I just wanted it to be a good movie. Is all I was looking for when I went into it. Just like I said with the first film, people hype up movies all the time, and they could think they're the best movie ever, the greatest movie, and then you just don't agree. So that's one of the reasons why it took me so long to watch any of these, because sometimes that pattern of I've seen quite a few films that have won Oscars, and I think they're garbage. I think they're absolutely no fun, and so I was worried that these would be that way, but I was wrong. And so, I was very pleased to see how good the sequel was.
Let me rephrase the question. Does Part 2 carry over well from Part 1?
Better.
All right. And Andres, we already know that The Godfather 2 is one of your top 3 favorite films, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. Like, if you talk about everyone in the movie community, everyone brings up what's the top 5 best sequels, and this is like top tier. I mean, it's such a great sequel to The Godfather. I mean, first off, it's very ambitious, telling 2 parallel storylines in a 3-hour film, and it still gets everything done so smoothly, which I love. But yeah, I'm very excited for this. This is my personal favorite of the Godfather trilogy. I just think, I mean, everything about it is just so awesome. The character development with Michael is just spot on. I mean, so like ruthless in this film, which we'll get into. So yeah, I'm so excited about this movie.
I forgot about the bonus scene. I forgot about it. It's been so long that I forgot about the bonus scene where they take you back to before Michael actually goes to war. Did you see that in your version?
No, my version has.
Oh, my version had that B-roll scene with Michael where it's Michael with Sonny still alive and.
No, yeah, I have that. It's after it's pretty much towards the end of the film. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's before he leaves to the war. You have to say that because
yeah.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about, Jeff. Yeah, I seen that. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a surprise. I think it was just a good, like, again, parallel to the next scene. That is the final shot of Michael being alone. That's like the whole point of that scene,
sure.
Which we'll get into later in the third and final act of The Godfather Part 2.
And we do have Matthew from Born to Watch podcast and YouTube channel coming on here to join us, folks. He'll be on here in just a minute. He's just busy fighting a kangaroo right now. Over there, you never know. You got to fucking fight, crazy reptiles and snakes and shit and whatnot, and they got like deadly saltwater crocodiles. You got to fight kangaroos occasionally. So oh, you didn't know about that, Cyber?
What?
That's part of the Aussie routine. You got to fight a kangaroo here and there.
Yeah, I know that.
See, there you go, folks. Cyber already knew about that shit. There you go. So the intro of the film is basically sort of like reflective to the first film, I think. It pictures the new Don right off the bat, and then the story focuses right to Vito, young Vito, over in Sicily, and his mother and his brother, Paolo, who gets killed. And Vito's on the run from Jump, and his mother getting shot with that shotgun by Don Chichi's guy was fucking sick. Talk about some violent shit, man. They did a good job with that shot. The way that she takes them shotgun shells, and it just catapults the body like that. That was a good shot. Speaking of which, what's up there, brother?
I'm here. Fucking hell.
You finally scrapped that kangaroo out?
Fuck's sake. It's always when you want to do something else that every motherfucker wants to talk to you.
Well, hey man, if you would stop messing with those fangirls and everything and whatnot because of all the success you were having over at Born to Watch Podcast YouTube channel.
Oh yes, yeah, it's massive amounts of success. I'm masturbating more than ever.
Well, Andre's the pop culture guy. Him being living in the year 2077, I'm not sure if they are masturbating at that point. Are you guys still masturbating at that point, Andres, or have you moved? Have you evolved beyond that?
Sir, all right. I'm sorry, my friend here. I'm a Time Lord.
You still have
the Time Lord of Gallifrey, and yes, we do still perform sexual.
You still have Disney paper?
You are so out of it, Jeff. You're so out of it. You don't know my kind. You don't know my universe.
You're in the time dimension. I'm very aware. You're the Time Lord. I know.
Oh my god.
Anyways, Matthew, good timing. You came right in, right on the intro, where I was basically just talking about how young Vito gets, unfortunately has such a rough time starting right off with mom taking that shotgun shot that rocketed her, right? I thought that was really well done. For that time. What year did this movie come out, Andres?
74.
74. I thought that was really well done, very authentic. I mean, if you're going to take a shotgun blast, you're going to go get propelled. We see, the whole voyage of young Vito coming across, on the boat and whatnot and everything, and seeing, it was beautiful seeing the Statue of Liberty and seeing the different immigrants. I thought they did a good job casting where you could really tell that you were Russians, there were Irish in there, right? It wasn't just all Italians or whatever, whatnot, right? And you had young Vito, that doesn't speak. He's did it. That's what his mom tried to tell Don Vito, or whatever, whatnot, Don Chichi, that he was fucking autistic or whatever, whatnot. And she's like, Don Chichi, my son won he was on the bleeding edge and he won the Danny some special award called that was inspired by some Aussie kangaroo fighting motherfucker. He won this award. Danny was 3 medals in Special Olympics. Don Chichi, spare my son. He's he was in the 50-yard, hurdles or whatever. The Special Olympics. Come on. Either way, bottom line, no, it is pretty tough. He comes in. You see him in Ellis Island and whatnot and everything, right? He gets small. What does he get? He gets smallpox or some shit. And basically, we see, him singing in his room, right? And then it fades kind of right from there at Ellis Island when he kind of you know that's how he gets to the U.S. in 1901. We see basically we go right into the party, and what I think is like not right in Vegas, but in Reno, probably, where where you actually have the Don, and you have like you see the senator and whatnot and everything, and you see Mama Corleone is still kicking it, and Connie. So you know that not that much time has passed since the first Godfather film because Mama Corleone looks pretty good. And Connie's there with Merle. Gotta love Merle, baby. He's a real man. But I'll stop it there right before the party. Diane Keaton. Cyber, did you find Diane Keaton more attractive in this film than you did in the first film? Matt, Cyber wasn't feeling Diane Keaton in Godfather 1.
Nope.
I can say that.
No, she still looks like
she was even more annoying in this film, and by the end of the movie, I wanted to be
I didn't say anything about her annoying rating. I said, does she look any more attractive?
Yeah, well, they include both.
All right, well, I think she looks gorgeous. I won't lie to you. I don't know what
we all know you like your alien.
Does she not really attractive?
No.
No? All right. Well, there you go.
Thank you.
Andres, thank you for stepping in for Andres there.
Jeff, we know you will fuck anything that walks, so it's all good.
Don't
good.
tell anybody about that, Cyber. That's a bleeding edge secret.
No, that is not a secret at all.
We're trying to keep that in-house.
No.
Hey.
No.
Well, either way, I'm the only dude here that's actually banged a chick from the Special Olympics, so there you go. It's that simple. This is the way, folks. Anyways, but no, before we get into the party and whatnot and everything, Cyberneticshark, what did you think of the obviously, Matt, I know that this kid that played young Vito is like an Oscar contender compared to young Frank from Bloodsport.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
But Cypher, what'd you think of that intro? What did you think of Vito? Young Vito had it fucking rough.
So the beginning of the film is really well done. It was very intriguing from the start and the get-go. And I liked how this one started out versus the first film. Simply for the fact that, they start us off kind of giving us a backstory, give us a little more information about, the Corleones, kind of like their back history, revealing that their real last name was Andoloni, that, they started over in Corleone, Italy, and that's how they ended up getting their name, because when they got shipped over, they were mistaken for that name because it was on the information when they came across. But I mean, yeah, that beginning sequence where the mother gets shot was really well done. She gets blown away, which was crazy, very sad at the same time. And of course, Vito, the kid that plays Vito, young Vito, did a really good job. I really appreciate it. I thought it was interesting how he was very silent majority of the time, that we saw him at around that age frame. Also, I like that it was 1901 that this was happening in. I thought that was interesting that, these characters go all the way back, being born in the late 1800s. So, that makes a little more sense, kind of their age range and stuff like that, especially, within the supposed current story at 1958, you kind of get a better idea of like where, they're supposed to be coming from. So I really appreciated that whole beginning section, him going over to America, and it was really done well, because that was very much how it was, going over to Ellis Island back in that time for all the immigrants. A lot of them were given names from the cities they came from. They were given the wrong last name from not the ones that they had for coming over from either Italy or France or anywhere they came from. And so I really appreciated how they took the time to give us a little bit of authenticity with this film. And one thing I always enjoy about drama films, when they make drama films, I prefer when they have a really good story and they give us a backstory and they really put a lot of effort into that writing. And I felt that this film definitely had, a great amount of writing in what they did. So that beginning section there was really well written. And just gave us a really great intro to the Vito character, give us more information about him, and kind of, what he dealt with, and kind of the reason why he, went towards what he did.
What do you think, Matt? I mean, it's good to have you back on the Bleeding Edge, by the way. We appreciate you coming on. Matt's not feeling very well. He's got COVID now for the 4.75 time. But no, Matt, thanks for coming on, brother. We appreciate you coming on. Hopefully this will lift your spirits a little bit. But you weren't here for our Godfather 1 review. When you weren't here, I was asking Cyber, having this being his first time watching The Godfather 2, about the carryover from the first film to the second film. What are your thoughts about that? Matthew, just to kind of start things off, the carryover from the first film to the second film. I know this is a big film for you. Is this a top fiver or something? Or
the Godfather. It's hard for me to split the first and the second one here. I think that whilst I think the second one's probably a better crafted film, I think that I quite enjoy the first one a bit more. That story that goes on there, but it's hard for me to split them. I think they're both perfect films. They're incredible. I think what I love about this one, and obviously it does go through the whole backstory of Vito, but we really see the growth of Michael here. And that's the thing that I really love about this. You find that he's from a guy that wanted nothing to do with the family business to now being a guy.
Internet.
Folks, it looks like we got an Iceman routine here. Matt, are you there?
Let's give it a second.
Anyways. Matt, you there? Anyways, folks, we haven't had this happen in a while. Andres, why don't you jump in?
Sure.
I'll let Matt, as soon as Matt comes back, we'll throw Matt right back in there.
Yeah. So I think the opening is good. I mean, it's nothing much to say about that. Just it was very cool way to start with the movie by going back to the past, seeing the rise of Corleone, Vito's power as a mafia boss in his early days, and so that's really cool. And so this opening was very neat. And I forgot that his brother gets killed. And the dad dies, off screen, but we hear it, from the dialogue, and then mom gets killed. So yeah, it was very brutal opening. And then him going to New York was kind of like, oh my god. And the Sam seating towards the end of that sequence is very powerful. Him being an immigrant and just being in the land of freedom is a very powerful image. So I really enjoyed it.
No, most definitely, I do too. I really enjoyed the I loved the depictions of seeing the immigrants on the boat, seeing the Statue of Liberty. Must have been really, powerful. I'd have to imagine back then, right? After that long trip, there he is. Matt, finish what you were saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Scary times in the future. The internet's about to just implode. So just be careful, people. Tomorrow's looking very dicey for you guys. But look,
I blame She-Hulk.
Yes. No, I what I like is I just like the Michael's so now entrenched, and he's putting his own spin on what his role is as the Godfather. I think it's great to then also love that we get to see how Vito became Vito. So I think they've done something pretty special here. I think that I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the early 80s, they released a thing to TV, which was a mix of both the movies in chronological order. And it went for 5.5 hours or 6 hours. It was this massive television event. And that was actually, it's quite interesting to go back and actually think about cutting those two movies in chronological order so that you get the full story. Because I think, I agree with you a little bit, Cyber, is that maybe in the first one you do miss a bit of that backstory of how things became the way they are. Whereas here you get all of it, which I think is something pretty special.
What do you think about the intro itself, where it starts right off with really
I'm assuming.
almost like, would you say that it's almost like a spin-off from the first film? Where, because I mean, we're right at like the edge of the party. We're after the christening, or not the christening, but the first communion. Now we lost Andres. So what do you think? What the young Vito? Part and whatnot and everything, where you see him lose his whole family and whatnot and all that.
Yeah, I think one thing I took note of this time is that, it was nice of his elder brother to just fuck off into the hills and leave him alone to look after mum. But he ends up, I guess, trying to sneak into the funeral, and I'm assuming that's him that's shot. Assuming that's Paolo.
That's Paolo, yeah.
Yeah, and so, and I do like that she does go to beg Don Cheech for his life. I think that's a really good scene, but you've got to also question the legitimacy of the henchman not being able to chase down a 7-year-old kid with a 5-meter start. So there's a few questions that need to be asked there. But I agree. I think the gunshot is brutal. It's really well done. And I love that they smuggle him out and he has to go through on his own and give us your unwashed, and then off he goes to Ellis Island and starts fresh. But
I thought the same thing. I'm like, why aren't you shooting your gun?
Yeah.
Like, you got a shotgun, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, a shotgun bag that I would think would you would anticipate it would hit something probably within 50 feet if you shot at something.
Oh, mate, you couldn't miss him from that distance, surely.
No.
Even if you winged him, and then you get another chance to finish him off. But
there you go, like mom.
Exactly right. Well, they didn't miss with
that. Turn of the fucking stratosphere.
That's it. But again, she missed an opportunity. She should have just stabbed him.
No, you're right. But they take care of him anyway later on, right?
They do. Yeah, he does. Yeah, Vito fixes him.
Yeah,
good and
of
proper.
Course, because that's how they get down in Sicily. But but no, they have the christening where you see they play text, and it says, and this is his grandson Anthony, and you have his first communion, and then you have the party where you have the senator, right? And they have the whole check ceremony and whatnot and everything, right? And then the senator comes right in and like hardballs him, and like, kind of like puts it to him.
Right? The senator's probably could be my favorite character in this movie.
He's good.
He's such a scumbag, and he's so smug.
Yeah, he does too.
I love a guy. He does, but I love a guy that's so smug that you can't wait for him to get his comeuppance.
But I mean, he's done right off the bat. Like, no matter what, he manages to survive. But either way, Tom Hagen's there in the beginning. We get Tom Hagen, and we find out that Turnbull is the senator's man, right? Which becomes important and relevant later on in the film. But Michael meets the senator. The senator's, flat out says, oh, you sure you want to talk in front of these other dudes? So I'm going to toss some shit to you. And Michael straightens him out on like his whole offer on how things are going to work and whatnot and everything. And then right there, you got Frank Pantangeli right from jump meeting Fredo, right? And obviously Frank becomes a key part of the sort of like, a cog in the overall scheme of the story, a big cog throughout the course of the film. And then we meet Johnny Ola, who of course is like the snake oil salesman for Roth, right? And basically, his guinea face, because he's a Jew, Roth is, right? So he's his guinea little lieutenant or whatever and whatnot. Ola is, and we meet Johnny Ola, and he's there to meet with Mike about making sure that the move, which we don't know what the move is yet, is gonna go through and whatnot and everything, right? And we already saw Connie pop up and talk to Mama Corleone with Merle, and Connie Nielsen's Connie is kind of like a kind of a cunt at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like she, now that Rocco got knocked off or whatever, whatnot in the first film, she's just out there slugging dudes or whatever, whatnot, and like eating off of like Michael. And they have an interesting little scene, which you guys can more than welcome to opine on. But we end up getting, drunk ass Frank Pentangeli. After we see, Fredo's slut drunk wife having to get dragged off by Neri or whatever, whatnot, from the dance floor because she's out there slutting it out, right? We get Frank Pentangeli kind of drunk and whatnot and everything, and kind of getting into, Mike about the Risotto brothers, right? Who are backed by Roth. And Mike says, I want you to make peace. I'm trying to put this deal together. And I'll sort of, leave it there. Frank Pentangeli's got issues in New York and whatnot and everything, of course, and he's a capo regime of Mike's because they still have their business interests in New York. So I'll leave it there, other than the fact that we see Mike dance with Kay and they have a little bit of a conversation where she kind of calls him out on this whole 5 years till legitimacy deal. She's like, it's been 8. So it's been 8 years since the first film. That's the time jump. It's been 8 years. Right, Time Cop?
Time Lord.
There you go. All right. So, Matthew, starting off with you. What do you think? What are your thoughts on the downplay of our first take of the Don over in Vegas, and especially the senator you mentioned that you really like in the film?
Well, I think we get introduced to what's going to be all the villains in this sort of period of the film. You've got Senator Neri, you've got Pentangeli, you've got Johnny Ola, you've got what's the other guy, the Jewish guy, Roth, yeah, Hyman Roth.
Yeah, and Chi-Chi, the thug.
Yeah, Chi-Chi's the thug. So you sort of get introduced to all of them, and the thing that I love about Michael is that he's always playing the long game. Like he's not, nothing's a quick fix for Michael. So I think that whereas Pentangeli's the perfect example, and so's Neri, where Neri he just wants to line his pockets now. He's not thinking about the bigger picture, because if he actually got into bed with Michael, then he would be rich forever. Whereas he just wants to line his pockets now, and it's just a dumb move. And that Michael's always got the longevity. And we talk about the scene with him and Kay on the dance floor where she's complaining yet again about, I'm quite happy to be dancing in my $3,000 dress, but I want you to be legitimate. Shut the fuck up, Kay. Just know your role, and you're not complaining about living in a 30-room mansion. You're just complaining about how you're living there. And I think that, surely mob wives should know better than that. They should be more like Fredo's wife and less like Kay. Quite like Fredo's wife. If I'd seen Fredo's wife on the dance floor, I would have been straight up trying to have a dance with her for sure. But I think the only one that is very similar to Michael is Hyman Roth. Like, Hyman Roth's obviously been in the game a long time, and he's trying to. They know they're going to play. They're playing each other off, but they're not. They don't admit it. So they know they're both not in it for the right reasons. And I like that dynamic all the way through the film. That Michael knows he's being screwed by essentially everyone that he's talking to, but he knows he is, so he's prepared for that. And I think that the rest of them think they're getting one up on him, but they're really not. And I think that's very clever. A very clever theme throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, in every dialogue, he's a step above. He is a step ahead.
He's a step ahead every time.
Yeah. Andres, your thoughts on the scene, the party scene, the whole party scene, up until the point where they try to take out Michael and Kay in the bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, this scene is kind of like the typical, like, getting back to our main characters of the main present timeline. So it's like really cool to see where everyone's at, So we seeing now the the OG Don, Michael, the Godfather, how he handles his business, really against his father. Like if you remember the first film, he the way he took his meetings were always like pleasant, very very friendly. But over Michael, more Michael is more cold, more calculating, as we are discussing, and the way he talks to the senator, as Matt brought up before, the senator is so cocky, and he's not thinking long term about what Michael could do. Like he should know what Michael is capable of doing. And later on, he gets in trouble, and like now he owes Michael like his whole life, and it's just like ridiculous. So that like that meeting with the senator is just so iconic. Just him pulling that, what was it, Buksuka thing from like the Renaissance area, like towards Michael, but in reality, like that thing is like switch, and that like it's aiming at senator, because like Michael is just is invincible basically. Like he's just long term. He knows what to do, and like gets people under his wing, right away, which is going to happen to the senator later in the film. Um, yeah, Kate. I like Kate in this film. Like, I mean, I mean, first off, she's very gorgeous. But I do feel sympathy with this character. I mean, the fact that Michael is just like her being in prison is like not right. Like the fact that she's unable to go to groceries is kind of ridiculous. Later in the film, when we see her again after Michael leaves for Cuba or something like that. But yeah, and then of course we get to Connie. Connie is very interesting. Now that she doesn't have a husband, she's very wild. She's like I forgot that like I didn't realize that she's already like getting divorced.
She's gotten remarried again already and gotten divorced.
Yeah, so it's very intriguing, and like she's like trying to like not be a servant to Michael, because Michael's like, she knows Michael is very cold and like very vicious, and like she just knows Michael well enough. And then who was the next character? Yeah, and I agree with Matt. Like I forgot. Yeah, the major villains are like in this one scene. Like of course we don't see Roth in the this sequence, but his assistant is, and we get like a little information of like what's going on with him and all that, and it's very intriguing. And of course, Frank, the New Yorker, crazy old Pandanzi, right? It's just great to see this another side of the family, because there's a huge family. And it's like there's connections over New York and all that, and so it's cool to see this character. He's based on this other person. I this rewatch, I didn't realize that Roth was a Jewish person. I never really connected that. So the fact
you never knew the last name Roth is a Jewish last name?
I mean, no, I didn't. He was Jewish, and we were dealing with the Jewish mafia. I was like looking at I was making the notes. I was like, oh, wait a minute, we're dealing with Jewish people and Jewish mafia.
Jewish mafia.
Yeah, I know that, but it's kind of funny. The sequel, we're dealing with the Jewish. Anyway, whatever. I just find it like very like intriguing, and I in my rewatch. But yeah,
I get it, sir. I get it, most definitely.
Yeah, but yeah. Speaking of craftsmanship, I think I agree with who say it. I think Cyber or Matt. This is a like great directed film by Francis Coppola. I was so happy that Coppola won the best director for this film. I personally love this movie more than the first one, just because this is just so ambitious, and like you can tell, like you're in the 1920s, like with the past with Vito, and then here you're in the 1950s with Michael. So yeah, overall I love the sequence. When we get to the assassination attempt, that's where we get really juicy with the plot, which we'll get into.
It's Lee Strasberg that plays Hyman Roth, and it's Michael Vigazzo that plays Frank Pentangeli. D. Spradlin plays Senator Pat Geary. Richard Bright is Al Neary. Gaston Moshan is Don Finucci. Tom Rusky is Rocco Lampone. Bruno Kirby is young Peter Clemenza, so on and so forth.
So you know that did you pick up that who's the guy?
Dominic
Hyman-
Cheese plays Johnny Ola.
Johnny Ola is actually Junior Soprano. Tony
Yeah.
Soprano's uncle in The Sopranos. Yeah,
Yes.
that's cool.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
Cyber, your thoughts, sir, on the party, that sequence, before the shooting, before the actual attempt on Michael's life.
So this sequence with the party sequence really kind of gives us a kind of a nice little info spree, as I like to call it, during this sequence here, giving us some information on kind of where everyone's been since the last film. We find out that Sylvia Shire, kind of what she's been up to. We get introduced to a couple new characters that are going to be very prominent. They give you a lot of setup for what's to unfold throughout the rest of the film in the sequence. And I think everyone played their characters very well to the T. And I think it's fun that, we have all this commotion going on during the sequence here, kind of giving you an idea of maybe this person doesn't have their shit together. Maybe this person has issues going on, and, giving you kind of a foresight into maybe that's the reason why they end up where they end up at. And so I thought that they did a really good job of kind of building that up and giving us all that information there, and providing us with some, I felt some really good dialogue. Some of the dialogue there between the mother and the daughter was really fantastic. Her not seeing her kids, talking about that. The mother saying your kids are your most important thing. You need to be seeing your kids, and kind of giving you an idea. This character is kind of a fuck up. She's just, she's not a really great person. And we all knew that from the first film, with how she kept living with that dude. Like, seriously, like, really? So it's fun that they kind of carried that over into this film, giving her more of a little bit of an arc as well. I definitely feel she got a little more screen time in this film versus the last one. But like Frankie Pantangeline, I love the introduction of him. I think that guy is a great actor. I've always enjoyed him in anything I've seen him in. And so I thought his character was fun seeing finally, because I've heard the name a billion times over the years, but never had seen this performance of the character. So it was fun seeing that character for the first time. But of course, Fredo's character, it was nice to finally see some more of him, because in the last film, we saw him for a brief moment, then he kind of disappeared for a while to the very end. So it was nice to see him again and kind of have him have a little more screen time as well. John Caviezel's, not Caviezel's, Calvez, and he was such a great actor. He really was. And it's too bad he died so young at 42 and 78. Yeah. And it's he only died 4 years after this film came out.
We've got to add that to the list for next year.
And he just did a really great job. I loved the character, what he brought to Fredo, and he definitely was a great asset to this film. And this whole sequence, it was definitely well done and very interesting. Like I said, it gave you a lot of information to get you going for the rest of the story and the rest of the film. So I appreciated that, and I thought they did it very well. Great sequence.
Most definitely. And right from there, when we see Mike go, we get the attack. After Mike, of course, finds like the picture from his son and whatnot, from Anthony and whatnot and everything, and all that. Of course, Kay's pregnant at that point, right? And he believes it's a boy, and she does too. There's an attempt on the family's life. They get Tommy gunned and shit and whatnot, right? And Mike talks with Tom and has Tom have a drink and shit and explains to him lays it all out. This is what's going down. I'm bouncing. You're the Don. You're taking over, right? Like, I'm expecting you to protect my family's life and whatnot, everything, right? And I've got to go, do what I've got to go do. So Mike kind of takes off. for a good part of the film. He's kind of aloof. He's out. He's not on the compound. A la what Andre was talking about with Kay being sort of a prisoner. So at that point, Tom kind of takes over and is running the at least the Vegas wing of things and whatnot and everything, and handling all the New York business as well. While Michael goes out to again, we still don't know. If you've never seen this film before, The Godfather 2, you don't know what the big deal is yet still, or what the big move is and whatnot with Roth as far as what they're trying to accomplish, right? Besides the casino that they talk about in the party, his holdings of the casino there in Vegas, where I believe the Corleones already they're heavily vested in like 2. So back to Vito, he's a grown man, right? He's got Santino, his first child, with Mama Corleone, who's attractive as fuck. That actress that plays Mama Corleone is attractive as fuck.
Hey, Jeff, let me stop you there. So you're saying that Diane Keaton is not attractive, but you are attractive at the 70-year-old Italian lady?
Diane Keaton's very attractive.
Okay, all right.
Oh, no, I think Cyber doesn't think she's attractive.
Oh, okay, right, okay. Cyber, do you find Mama Corleone attractive as well, or where do you stand on Mama Corleone?
I was talking about young Mama Corleone from Vito.
Oh my God.
Not party Mama Corleone.
Yes, the actress that played younger Mama Corleone. Yeah, she was an attractive woman.
Okay, continue, mate. Sorry.
Gotta differentiate, Matthew.
I don't know how it goes down there in Florida. That's all right. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Oh no, you got to into the bus that live in Florida. Oh, okay. That's all right. I don't blame you. My state sucks. What can you do? Anyways, it is the train wreck of a state. But we got like the worst people ever. You can't even have friends down here. It's ridiculous. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure there are better parts of the part that I'm in. But so either way, so basically what we end up in is we finally do, end up getting Michael heading off to go see Roth for the first time, and we get our introduction to Hyman Roth. Hyman Roth, maybe. What the first name? Hyman.
Michael tries to break him.
I know. I should have been named Hyman.
Oh dear.
Anyways, that's okay though. So we get young Robert De Niro, right? Basically, it's Robert De Niro, 1974 style, so he's young. This is young Robert De Niro. This is what? Before The Deer Hunter, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's before the Hunter.
Yeah.
Before pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. So, so they're at the play, the Italian play and whatnot and everything, right? And with his buddy there. And they bump into the Black Hand, right? Who is Finucci. And Finucci becomes sort of like the antithesis of Vito's for like a good part of the film. But, basically, while like young Vito Robert De Niro is hanging out with Mama Corleone, dude throws a bag of fucking shit into his window and whatnot. Everything is like, hide this shit for a week for me, bruh, or whatever, whatnot. And it's like guns and shit, right? It's hardcore. So, and of course, that turns out to be not Testio, but what's his name? The other one, the other
Clemenza.
Clemenza. And so Vito loses his job because of the Black Hand, Finucci, right? And it's actually kind of moving because like the shop owner's like crying and everything going on because he has to let him go because Finucci shows up and says, "My nephew needs a job, probably for a green card or something like that. Who knows?" So either way, Vito finally meets Clemenza. and mentions, oh, I can get a good rug for your wife and whatnot, everything, right? And everything. And it turns out to be like a heist, right? And Vito kind of gets like dragged into like crime almost. Like he doesn't really necessarily want to, right? And he sees, Clemenza hold a gun up when there's a cop coming up to like the door and all this shit and whatnot. And the whole thing is that like, Finucci is like a mobster from back in the day where, in the Italian section of New York City, the cops don't protect anybody. So you got to pay protection. If you want someone to protect your business or whatnot, I guess. I guess. So basically, Vito meets Clemenza. They get the rug, and the baby doesn't like the rug though. The baby falls down and shit, whatnot. It said Tito. He falls on his head and shit. And he doesn't like Clemenza either. When the Clemenza tries to pick up the baby, said Tito, the baby's not happy. So either way. So basically at that point, that's Clemenza right there meeting Vito for the first time. And then we go back to Michael on the train with what is the name of his like bodyguard? The guy in black.
Oh, just in the background.
Does he have no name?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what his name is. I don't know if his name
He doesn't have a name.
I think is hold on. I'll type it. It's something here.
Either way, no, it's on the train, right? And it's Mike going to see Hyman Roth, and we get the meeting of Mike meeting with Hyman Roth and his nurse. And so I'll go over to you, Cyber. What do you think of that? That whole patch of film, and then the first meeting with Hyman Roth, and do you think Hyman Roth is plugging that nurse?
Okay, so from the shooting till the first wonderful meeting with Hyman. Okay, I mean, this whole stretch of film is really well done. Simply for the fact that, once again, like I said before, it was great that they intertwined a prequel and a sequel together. And I thought that was really smart on Coppola's, forethought there when he decided to do the sequel, is he wanted to do a prequel and a sequel at the same time. So I was really enjoying how they were going from, present day showing, having the shooting happen, then going back to 1917, see Vito kind of showing him growing into the, boss he ends up becoming. And then, of course, leading up to, the Hyman, interview, as I like to call it, meeting, which, that guy, I absolutely love that character. I love that actor. He is a really fun actor. I've seen him in a few other things, and he always was really fun. I just liked his persona, what he personifies in his characters. And I thought in this, he played a really good kind of like mob boss kind of character. And so the storytelling throughout this whole section, I thought, was really well written and conceived. And I can see why this won, best screenplay for 1974 for its, its story, because it was really well written. And the fact that, it wasn't just Coppola writing it, it was actually the guy that wrote the books, helped write it too, I thought was really clever, because you're going to get that backstory that he already had in mind and bring it to life in the screenplay. So I thought that was really clever, and I feel this whole section of the film really showed that play out. I mean, the whole section where it shows, in 1970, Vito having his, first son, he's married, he's very loyal to his wife, but at the same time, he's trying to make ends meet, and showing him kind of like grow into the character he is by taking out that mob guy at that time, and kind of becoming the man he is, I thought was just really a great kind of telling. But that first meeting with Hyman, I thought it was pretty simple, pretty, like a basic sequence that I felt it could have had more to it. But overall, I thought that it worked well for its sequence and getting into knowing a little bit more about that character. But overall, that whole sequence I just really enjoyed. I love the music in it, and I just love the whole era and the look of it. It just was so beautiful, and I just really enjoyed all the Italian heritage that it personified, and just I really enjoyed like that camaraderie feeling because as I was watching it, me and the wife were actually talking about how Italians are really like that in real life. They're always wanting to give, 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 and so I thought that they showed a really good like reality to how Italian families really are, and this sequence I feel showed that quite beautifully. And I appreciated too De Niro's performance. I like that he tried to have the voice kind of similar to Marlon Brando in the previous film. I like how he worked on it, he tried to go with it, made it a little more himself, and I just enjoyed it. And I liked how he didn't like puff out the chicks like Marlon Brando did, but he like definitely got into it. And but still was very De Niro. And I can see why he was nominated, why he won for his work because he really was really amazing. Even in this sequence, I think this is probably my favorite sequence of it, just showing his growth and just showing his acting ability in this sequence too. So really well done sequence of events and just overall another great addition to this film.
What do you think, Matthew, about that part of the film, and also the parallelization of the dual stories in the film as a as a structure?
Well, I love when we go back in time. I love that we get to see the growth of Vito as a gangster and the reasons behind it. That he's a noble guy to start, really, and it's only due to his again being screwed over by a gangster that he turns to the dark side essentially. But I do love the when we get introduced to Clemenza, that Bruno Kirby. I think he's an incredible character, even though he's only in the movie for a short time. But also, you see straight away the difference and the reason why Vito ascended, because he's smarter. He's a smarter guy. He's a patient guy. Again, Clemenza he's after the quick buck. He's after the heist, and let's make the quick money. Whereas Vito's just got this constant thinking, and you can always tell there's something else going on in his head. Which, if you then flip forward to the story with Michael, exactly the same. Like he is his father. And the fact that we didn't get to see Vito at Michael's age really until now, he's probably still younger than what Michael is at this stage, but you can see why Michael is the way that he is and why Sonny could never have run the family, because Michael is his father's son and he's got that same level of patience and that same big picture. And you can see just how, as he goes further on, even to the point where, is it in this part of the movie where we meet Clemenza's girlfriend that the Finucci's trying to sort of steal, and she's the actress in the show? Is that part, or is that the next part where he kills Finucci? But
yeah, it's after that.
The next part is
next part. Yeah,
we'll talk about that then. But yeah, I love that. And then I love that. I think we've missed a really important scene. Also, is that after the shooting, is the discussion that that Michael has with Tom Hagen about I need you to not be involved in this. I need to separate us, and because you are too smart for this, you need to control the family. I need to go and deal with this other stuff, and you need to keep business running here. And so he then goes off to knowing he already knows it's Hyman Roth that's organised the shooting, but he doesn't know how. So he still hasn't put that part together yet. So he's walking into the lion's den. Every time he goes, he knows he's walking into the lion's den, but he's shielded by the fact that he knows that. Again, I just think seeing those parallel stories, but it's essentially the same person, right? And I think that father and son, but they are the same person. I think is just brilliant how Ford Coppola was able to capture that by these two concurrent stories in this part. Really clever.
That was Puzo, of course. That was the co-writer. Andres, your thoughts?
Yeah. This section is like the best part about the film. The scene, Michael like going through not only Frank's house and then talking to Roth is really great because he's like starting to build up his long game. Now he didn't know about the assassination attempt with Frank, so but he of course he talked about that with Roth, and so like he puts together. I mean, obviously that Roth is trying to play trying to have some of the people close to Michael to turn against him. And then going back to Vito's like the prequel timeline, what I like about it is just seeing Vito actually being this humble person and then going like slowly into the dark side, which is very neat. But like it's really fun that he doesn't lose that when he becomes the big man after he kills the black can. Like he still has that compassion and like still wants to help people. And like as Jeff, he brought up the Italian giving out to people stuff for free. I like how Vito does that, but in a more like professional like mafia way. But but it still gets respect for people because what he does. And like he doesn't do the way Michael does it in present timeline. um I mean, speaking of Vito, I mean Robert De Niro, great actor. I mean, he's such a fantastic actor. I mean, I love him in Casino. I mean, Raging Bull, and what else? Um, I, I mean, so many great performances. The Killers of the Flower Moon. Great performance there. Uh, the fact that we got another performer winning again for the same character, it's totally unheard of. I mean, it happened before a couple of times, like the Joker.
The
This
movie is too fucking long, bro.
yeah,
The
like
movie is too fucking long. I went there. I went for 2 hours, and that shit was so. I'm sorry, but like I had to leave.
what the killer.
Yeah, I walked out. It was too fucking long. I was like, you tell me I gotta sit here and watch another full fucking movie right now?
Hey, that's up to you, Jeff. Anyway, yeah, the fact that Robert De Niro won the best supporting actor for this role, it tells because he really is real. From how he talks, just like Brando from the first film. I mean, the fact that he doesn't have too many heavy makeup, like you can see from his eyes and the way he is, like treating people as just like real from the first movie. So yeah, I just really like this whole sequence. I think what else is major? I mean, the music, is really great. You hear more of the Godfather theme more in this movie than say the first film. But yeah, like everything is just top notch. We'll move on from here. And by the way, Killers of Flower Moon, great film, Jeff. I cannot believe you tapped out. You tapped out.
It is very long though.
Yeah, but this movie is long too, and
Yeah.
anyway,
I
we'll
enjoyed
move
it,
on.
but it's long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Well,
That's enough of that.
yeah, it's gonna spoil the whole movie.
Sorry about that, folks. That was a little bit long. That was pretty good though, right? What do you think, Andres?
Well, okay. I mean, this what you call Oscar trailer. They always do this with their Oscar films. They like push the film to make more money, and so they always put out a trailer for that to come out. And the fact that they did that for this to like show everyone, go back and watch this now. Critical acclaim, Oscar winner, 6-time Godfather Part II. It's a great trailer. I mean, it was very funny when they get to the part of betrayal, like because obviously there's a twist in this film that's hugely famous for this part, which we'll get into. And it's funny to see Kate after they cut to the party thing with Vito, Fredo, and Michael, and the Cuba party thing on New Year's Eve. But yeah, I mean, trailer's good. I mean, you have to remember the trailers for. I mean, 70s trailers are always creative, but when we have the Oscar ones, they're usually longer than your usual action and blockbuster trailers. So yeah, it's good. Yeah.
All right, so Matthew, so we go back. We end up with Mike meets with Frank Pantangeli, right? And he tells Pantangeli, to be fair with the Risotto brothers and whatnot and everything, right? And we go to Fredo, and Michael kind of gets straight with Fredo, lets him know where things are at and whatnot, right? Kind of briefs him and everything and whatnot. And then Tom goes to see the senator, and we get that scene where we get the dead whore, right, in the room or whatever, whatnot, however you want to call it. And Tom gets his hands dirty, right? Like, and I'll stop right there. What do you think about that stretch of the film right there, and that scene with the senator? You mentioned earlier you really like the actor and G.D. Spradlin and the Senator Pat Geary character. That patch of the film and then that scene.
Well, I think this is I guess this is Tom doing what Tom does. So Tom's the sneaky silent assassin. So Tom makes people destroy themselves, and he did it in the first one with the director with the horse head, and he's done it here, the same thing with the hooker with the senator, and he just happens to be there to have that discussion when people are at their weakest, and eventually gets what they intended to get in the first scene of the movie, but Geary was just too greedy and too arrogant to take the deal without having to go learn the hard way. That I guess essentially even back in I guess this is the 30s, or what is it, the 30s, or now they're in, or the
50s.
50s. It's the 50s. That's right. So even back in the 50s, adults were like kids are today, mate. They're just entitled and they just think they can get everything the easy way. But invariably, the senator learns the hard way, and that's the parallel. It just goes straight back to the first movie, where you can't. You invariably, it doesn't matter what kind of relationship you're in with the Corleone family. You better just to play alone, or else you're going to lose big. And I think this is the beauty of Tom. Tom knows his role. Tom knows that Tom's the smartest guy in the room every time he's in the room, but he's not one of those guys that thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. So he knows he's got the full power of the family to back him, and so he just does what he has to do. And I love him. He's so good in this movie. Even though he does get shafted quite a bit, I feel a bit sorry for Tom in this one because he played such an integral part in the first movie. And this one, he gets sort of shafted a little bit to sort of stay out of the.
Because he's not a wartime
consigliere, yeah. Which I disagree. Like, I think he makes a couple of the 2 or 3 of the biggest moves out of the whole 2 movies, really. And I think that if he'd only listened to Tom a bit more, maybe things are a little bit different for the family. But I guess it's that old adage that he's not quite Italian. He's not quite Sicilian, Tom. So we can't let him all the way in. So yeah, it's interesting. I think this is a really good part of the film. I think it starts to play out now. Like Michael's, I think Pantangeli's.
There's an emotional moment there where Michael and Tom talk, and Tom says to Michael, "I've always wanted you to be my brother."
Yeah. Yeah, and then the setup of Pantangeli starting to happen here as well. So, he's starting to play that out. So Michael, again, he's 2 or 3 steps ahead of everyone. He already knows how it's going to finish. He just needs the bit players to play it out for him. So it's a good part.
Cyber, your thoughts on that part of the film right there?
What part were we talking about again?
Matthew, what did I just throw at you?
This is the bit where Pantangeli's he's about to be sent into sort of.
Oh yeah, when Mike goes to meet Pantangeli for the first time, and then explains to him that he's got to be fair with the Risotto brothers and everything and whatnot and everything, And then we get Michael meeting with Fredo and like kind of like, you know, like keeping him in the fold and whatnot and everything. And you know, Roth makes a move on Pantangeli, of course, you know, and then we get the senator with the dead whore.
Do we think that's Roth making the move on Pantangeli?
Yeah, that's Roth.
Okay.
Yeah, because the guy that was like strangling Frank would say this is from Michael, but that's
Yeah.
not true.
That's
So
not true. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is Roth. So
Yeah.
and because Michael asked who authorized that attempt, because you need to go with Michael to authorize that. So
Yeah,
it was
correct.
Roth.
Yeah. Nice.
Go ahead, Cyber.
All right. So, first off, just to let everyone know, in the time cop dimension, they have a different idea of what women look like. Hence why Andreas likes his time cop dimension Diane Keaton. Just wanted to get that out there. But anyways, going back to the story of the movie, which I totally forgot already where I was. Anyways, it's all good. But this is just a nice little section of the film. Once again, more kind of exploration of kind of things to come, kind of showing you kind of how things are shifting and how things are moving towards the ultimate end, basically. And the funniest part about this sequence is, now, like I said, this is the first time viewing this film. If anyone's familiar with the film City Slickers 2, John Lovett's character quotes several of the scenes of this film a billion times throughout that film. And so this is my first time actually hearing those lines in the actual film. And so when the Rosano brothers scene came up with Pantangeli and him having his conversation with, Michael, all I could think of was John Lovett standing there giving his story, because I absolutely love freaking City Slickers 2. And so I was like kind of cracking up watching, going, holy shit, I finally hear the real story this time. Damn it. I'm like, but all I see is John Lovett's. And so when that scene pops up, that totally came to mind for that. And that just made me appreciate it even more, because I finally got to see the actual scene, how it's actually played out. And but like I said, all I could picture was John Lovett. But at the same time, so that sequence there, I think, was played out so well. I really enjoyed that sequence, simply the fact that I thought everyone played their mark very well. They all encompassed each other very well, and you could see that each of the points got brought across about the story, about the Rosano brothers, about all that happened there. And I think that it just was such a great sequence, and it just was so well constructed. I just really appreciated that sequence. I really liked it. But pretty much leading up to that, I thought it was pretty, Godfather like majority of the rest of that sequence, kind of similar to the first film. And like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought it was okay. And leading up to kind of where we leave off there with Pantangeli and stuff like that, I can't say anything bad about it. I just really liked the whole sequence there. Everything that went on in that sequence, and I thought Pacino was amazing in every sequence he was in. We get that, of course, the hooker sequence, which was interesting. Unfortunately, I was kind of upset that she had covers over her.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Cyber? What do you think about Tom getting his hands dirty like that?
I mean, we knew it was going to happen. We knew he was going to have to, because that's just a part of being a part of the mafia or the mob, or being a part of this type of family. You're eventually, if you're involved at some point, you're going to get your hands dirty no matter what, because in order to keep whatever, say, extra accoutrement you're collecting because of being a part of it and keeping your part of the bargain, you're going to have to get your hands dirty. So we just knew that was going to happen. And it was kind of funny, because he's finally kind of getting his comeuppance a little bit there too, with this situation happening. because of what happened at the beginning of the film when he was like berating Michael at the beginning of the film. You don't feel sad for him. You get it, like you're getting what you deserve, you know. And so I thought that sequence was very interesting, and you know, all the blood and stuff like that was I thought played out there, and how they fixed it, and how they had her laying there and stuff like that. And I mean, I have a feeling that's probably pretty common for anybody that had a, you know, hooker end up dead in their hotel suite.
Well, I mean, folks, they drugged the senator and they killed the prostitute, and like that's what happened.
Shit.
And you know, and like honestly, like I couldn't even imagine having to be like Tom in that situation with that dead girl sitting there and everything and whatnot and all that. That's some stone cold shit right there.
Oh no, the stone cold shit doesn't come until the end of the film, but we'll get to that in soon. But yeah, that was a really great sequence. I mean, all the sequences I really enjoyed. The courtroom sequences in this film too. I think that was one of my favorite parts of this film, especially when Michael's testifying and Robert Duvall's up there helping him out, being his lawyer and everything, and then kind of how those panelists were like giving questions like that. It felt very like realistic, because that's how a lot of those hearings happened back in those days. So I really appreciated kind of the trying to stay to the most realistic as possible there for these sequences. And I just really enjoyed that. I've always enjoyed a lot of like, I just love courtroom films. I don't know why, but I just do. They're always fun. Few Good Men, Runaway Jury, you know, films like that are very court based. Even My Cousin Vinny, even though it's a comedy, there's still a great courtroom element to it that has that comedy elements involved. So I think that how they presented these courtroom scenes in Godfather Part II were really well done as well. And I just really thought that was fantastic. Overall, a really great sequence that I think worked out really well.
All right, Andres. So we move on from there, right? We go to Cuba, right before the revolution, and you know we get the meeting with Roth, his birthday meeting and whatnot and everything, right? And we see Michael sees right from the meeting, he sees like, you know, or before the meeting, he sees a revolutionary like blow themselves up with a grenade and shit on the way, right? Right. And then, you know, Fredo pops up. And, you know, Mike sets Fredo up with Hyman Roth as if it never happened, right? You know, and whatever. And, you know, we end up back to Hyman Roth. And, you know, it's like basically Hyman Roth's health is like deteriorating. It's Michael meeting there with whatever, whatnot, and everything. And he's wanting that money, right? You know, he's, you know, to invest into basically or whatever, I guess, whatever business venture they have there in Cuba or whatever, whatnot, and all that. That they have that big meeting with all the big wig people and all that shit. Then they go to the club. So before they go to the club, right, and Johnny Ola meets Fredo for the first time. Before that point right there, what are your thoughts on the film right there?
All right. Well, first off, I wanted to address in my universe, how you say it, the girls I see are usually like very hot chicks from like a Star Trek episode, or they're like very much like vampires from the Hammer horror films. So
aliens.
Yeah, well, and aliens, the species. If you guys seen that movie, like that type of woman. So I just want to address that before you take the wrong idea.
He thinks that Natasha Henstridge is in the time cop dimension. I don't
think so.
You
fucking species, bitches. What the fuck?
In his dreams, folks out there. In his dreams.
Yeah,
no, they're more like Diane Keaton.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering is, this is what I was wondering. Why isn't that no women swim across the ocean and shit, or like getting like man-made boats and shit to come from Cuba to come to America illegally and shit and whatnot, and come on the shores all what men do, right?
I think they're being
if women want equality and all this shit and all this like rah like female independent shit still or whatever and whatnot, this sort of feminist shit, why aren't there more women like washing up on the shores of like Miami?
I think they're smart, Jeff. I think they're playing the long game than the man. I think that's my idea. Anyway, so yeah, I really like the sequence. I think, I've seen like face to face, for a long period of time, with Roth, and then before we get into Fredo in the picture, what I like about this sequence is Michael paying attention Roth and like his reaction and like him like making his move, like he's like staring at him and like dead eye, like I know that's you, and like telling us the audience that this is the man he's after, and like he's not like like hiding it from Roth, like he's just like telling Roth, like it's just like he's jerking around Roth right now, for the long game and stuff like that, and that's so like scary and intimidating, which is kind of cool. Like the fact he brought up the story of the rebels, and then I think Roth started to kind of think he's maybe taking out the deal they're doing. So yeah, it's really great. But then he does that to Fredo. Actually, if in my repeating viewing, Michael kind of expects Fredo being part of it, but he doesn't know that until when we get to it. But like he like stare close to how Fredo reacts. Like when he talks with Michael, while they're drinking, he he's very shaken and is like very shy. Like he's very like kind of scared right now around Michael. And then of course when to the last point, when he meets was it the Roth's assistant, whatever, I forgot the name of it, Johnny something,
Johnny Olaf.
Joe Olaf, right, in the party where the senator is at and all that. Michael like glance at him, and you see how like Fredo reacts. He like doesn't look at him straight on. Right away, he knows something is up, and like they know each other. Like, and that's like right away, it's like something's really up with Fredo right now. And so yeah, and this just such a great direction from Coppola, just showing how Michael is very smart. He's not stupid. Like he just looks around, observing the scene around the people he knows, see how they're reacting, and they're involved with the plot. He knows Roth is in the plot, but with Fredo, he kind of expects that he's maybe in this bigger part, which we'll get into soon, which I'm excited about. And yeah, and yeah, all that's good.
Matthew, your thoughts on everything going up until like when they hit the club in Cuba?
It's a hell of a cake. I got to say that they have. It's a hell of a cake for Hyman's birthday. But yeah, again, it's all about I guess planting the seed that it's Michael putting two and two together with Fredo. Like he's got all the pieces of the puzzle except one piece of the puzzle, and I think he knows the answer, but because it's Fredo, he's not willing to make any sort of elaborate decisions without actually getting confirmation. So, he, as what Andre said, that when Johnny Ola and Fredo meet for the first time, it's quite obvious that they know each other. Michael goes, "That's a tick," and he already knows that Fredo is bitter because he's been overlooked and is the second fiddle in the family anyway. But yeah, I think this is very, very clever in I guess leading the audience down the path of this destination that we don't want to get to, but we know is inevitable with Fredo. And I think that it's very it becomes so very little about the relationship between anyone other than Michael and Fredo then. So this part of the movie, even though we're still talking about Johnny, dealing with Johnny Ola and Hyman Roth and that, they've become secondary characters now. Michael's really only got eyes for one guy, and he's as the pieces start to fall into place, we as the audience know that shit, like, you're going to kill this guy, and it's his brother, and that's just a sense of dread, and that's all that part is. And he's just such a slow burn with everything he does. It's so brilliant, and Al Pacino is so understated, and I think he was very good in the first movie, but I think he's very unlucky not to get an Academy Award for this. He is so understated for this performance. It's so eerily. Just this sense of eerie vengeance about him the whole movie, and I think it's so brilliantly done. So yeah, I love this part. It's really clever.
Right, Cyberneticshark, sir.
All right, so we have gotten past the prostitute section, so now we're on to more of the
before they actually go to the event at the casino or whatever, whatnot in Cuba.
New Year's. It's the New Year's party.
Before the New Year's
that's what
party.
I thought, yeah. So we got that New Year's party, which was, I thought, pretty basic. I didn't think it was anything great. I do think that, of course, we get quite a bit of information in the sequence. You know, basically, this is when Michael finds out, you know, that Fredo is the traitor, and that he actually knew Johnny Ola. Basically, we have the Cuban rebel advances going on during this sequence here on the New Year's Day.
I didn't go that far, but you can go ahead.
Well, that's all a part of the same area.
No, I only got up until the point where before they actually go to the New Year's Eve party, right before then.
Well, that was when the whole horde thing happened.
Just keep on going.
So it was an okay sequence, and that's pretty much all I had to say about it.
Anyways, so Cyber, that sequence right there, where like Matt was talking about, you see a lot of Mike talking to Fredo and whatnot and everything, right? While he's in Cuba and all that. What did you think of the whole Hyman Roth character in Cuba and whatnot during that part of the film?
Hyman Roth?
Yeah, the Hyman Roth character.
The Jewish character?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said before, he was a great character. I like that actor. I think he was a great actor. I thought that, you know, he brought kind of an interesting take to, you know, kind of being that main bad guy head that was like in the first film that, you know, they take out, or the 5 heads there. Very similar to that. And I liked how it kind of showed him, you know, kind of slowly, progressively get sicker throughout the film. And I just thought that it was, you know, he was an interesting character that worked out well. And seeing his demise was probably one of the best parts. But yeah, I mean, very, very interesting done. And I thought he wasn't too bad.
Well, right off there, they go to the club or whatever, whatnot, and everything, and that's when Johnny Ola meets Fredo supposedly for the first time. We see the horse cock scene, right? There's the horse cock scene, and that's pretty intense. And then you hear Fredo like fucks up and gets like drunk in front of Mike or whatever, whatnot, and is like, "I know this club from Johnny Ola." You know, whatever, whatnot, and everything. And right there, you see Mike's face. He's like, oh, shit. You know, so Mike knows what's up right there, for real. And so they try to hit Roth, but unfortunately, Michael's bodyguard gets killed at the hospital trying to take Roth out. Roth ends up alive, just like Pantangeli, who survived the hit earlier because of a cop that popped up. So then we get the classic scene in Cuba as the revolutionary, like Cyber said, this as the revolutionaries are coming in and whatnot and everything, and the president bows out. I know it was you, and it broke my heart, Fredo. You broke my heart, or whatever. We get that classic part, and then basically, we get the president's out, and then, of course, as Michael's trying to leave, he tries to hail Fredo. Fredo takes off, and then Kay, of course, Michael comes back to the compound, and Tom says Kay had a miscarriage. And then it goes back to Vito. So, Andres, your thoughts on that part of the that passage of the film, sir?
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, thank you, Cyber. Okay, just want to make sure. Anyway, yeah, famous. I mean, this section is what everyone's here for. Come on, folks. We're here for the big, juicy twist. That is kind of obvious. I mean, come on. Fredo was the betrayer. You poor sucker. You're so stupid. Like, I mean, like, this is why he's second fiddler to the family. Like, oh my god. Every time I watch this, I was like, Fredo, what are you doing? Don't drink too much. And in fact, he out loud saying, "Oh yeah, the Johnny, whatever, show me this, club, and it's like, oh my god. And Michael's reactions, like myself, is like, oh my god, please no. And it's like, and then of course the New Year's party, the most iconic scene of any cinema. It's just him kissing him, and it's like, I know it was you, Rio. You betrayed me. It's like, oh my god. Yeah, broke my heart. Thank you. I was like, oh my god. Like, and it's like, he's dead meat. Like, Fredo was dead meat throughout the movie. It's like, and just that's like we were talking about long game. He plays the long game with Fredo. Like, you don't know if he's gonna kill him or not, and that's the scary thing. And then when it does, I was like, oh my god, it happened. It's like, oh my god. So this sequence was very intense, and yeah, I mean, speaking of Al Pacino, like, him and the actor that played Fredo are great actors. They really have good chemistry, and it's great that they work again on Dog Day Afternoon. I don't think that scene could ever work if it was those two. Like, those two are really great.
How do you pronounce that guy's name, Matt? Is it John Cazale?
It's Cazale. John Cazale.
John Cazale. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
He died not long after.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that passage of the film, Matt?
Oh, look, I agree with Andres. I think that you got to go a long way to find a more iconic shot than the kiss and the I know it was you, Fredo, and you broke my heart. That is that you absolutely just, if you don't die a little inside when you watch that every time, you're not human. I think, but again, it just comes back to the long game. It's that Michael is just, and again, and we'll get to it later on, but he does. He's, I'm going to wait till Mum dies, and then not long after Mum dies, so does Fredo. So it's it's heartbreaking, that whole part in Cuba there, the party. Then obviously their dreams are being blown up. So the actual side plot, which is the grand plan to make it rich in Cuba, is being destroyed by the revolution, and so that's blowing up. And at the same time, the Corleone family's blowing up. So it's and so it's all over for Michael. Essentially, it's just his work in Cuba is now done. He's got what he's needed out of it, and he's going to head back to Nevada and keep soldiering on the next bit. But I do like that bit. I do like the attempt on Johnny Ola. I think that actually takes me back to when they kill the 5 families in the first movie, where it has that similar feel to it, where it's very slow, very it's very cleverly shot, and it's so unlucky that that the nurse happens to walk in at that exact time. Like, it's talk about bad timing. Like, he's had so long to attempt it, and he has that one time, and there's no one in that bloody hospital. So how she decides to walk into his room at that time, and it goes back to the first movie again, where there's that whole assassination attempt on Vito at the hospital, and how they had to move him to another room, and they're going to try and kill Johnny Ola while he's in hospital as well. So it's so many parallels between the movies all the way through that it's just every time you watch it, you can find something new. It's just so brilliant.
You think
And
about
again,
you think about Roth.
Roth, yeah, sorry, Roth. They try and kill Roth, but yeah, it's incredible just how it's almost every major point you can sort of pin it back to something that happened in the first movie as well. It's like it's repeating itself, and they're sort of doomed to repeat themselves forever. This pattern's just going to continue on. But yeah, look again. For me, this is I'm treading water now. I'm now waiting for the Senate hearings. I'm now waiting for Pantangeli's come up. I'm now waiting to see what's going to happen with Fredo. So that's all this for me. That's all this part of the movie is really.
Shark, sir. We're at the point now where basically we've got we're back to Vito. Bernucci has kind of come and straightened him out, and like told him that he needs to. They all need to give him $200 a piece or whatever, whatnot. He tries to extort him and shit and muscle him. And Tessio is with him now, right? It's Tessio and Vito and whatever his name is. What I always forget? Clemenza, Fat Clemenza, and Vito says, "I'll take care of Benucci," right? And Vito lays it down and goes out and like stalks his ass and takes his ass out. And then we get the intermission. What are your thoughts on that whole section, Cyber?
This is a good scene. Once again, showing Vito's kind of his rise to power. Kind of Vito becoming, as he becomes the Don, basically showing you kind of what leads to him becoming the Don. What basically makes Vito who Vito is. And I think it was just really well constructed, really well done sequence. And I think it helped the story along very well. And once again, going back to the whole backstory situation, it was really nice to see more of Vito and kind of his backstory and kind of how he became as powerful as he did and how he became as respected as he was. Really well done sequence.
Matthew.
Yeah, again, this is we go back and it's probably the most famous quote in the whole of The Godfather, which is going to make him an offer he can't refuse. And this is where we find the birth of it, right? And this is the birth of The Godfather. This is where it's quite obvious now to Clemenza and Tessio that they are just pawns in his game, that he's willing to do the stuff that no one else is. He's the one that's going to take on the mob boss. He doesn't fear him. And again, how smart, like wrapping the towel around it to silence it, using the fireworks as a shield, smashing the light or turning the light off so that he can't tell. It's so Vito that it's so perfectly planned, and it's just that long game that he plays the whole way, and that and then being smart enough to break the gun up and put it down the different chimneys. It's just showing he's on a whole different level, right? I love it. It's just I loved when he gets shot. Never being a bigger, or he's one of the biggest wankers in cinema, Don Fanucci. So it's good to see him get blown away, And so again, Vito, stand up. You're the man, and this is it. This is rise, as what Cyber said. This is the rise to power right here.
Andres.
No, I mean, I agree with the two gentlemen here. I think it's the rise to power of the Godfather here. What I like, I mean, I really like the projecting sign here, the little Italy town they're in. Like, it's so like if you haven't been to New York and you've been to that section, like this is how it is. And like I really like the scene of the Italian submarine. It's like so festive. Wow, you're gonna get into the violence of Vito killing this black can person, which is great, and so it's just really great juxtaposition on this sequence. Plus, just to wrap up, what I really love is towards the end of the sequence when the music starts to swell, you can hear the Godfather scene, like the Godfather score comes up and is like he's now the Godfather, and I really dug that. So overall, I love the sequence. I mean, it's just, I mean, and Robert De Niro, great actor. He knows how to perform. I forgot that he did say that line actually. When I was rewatching, I was like, oh, did he say the offer thing as he always say from the last movie? And then he did, and I because it was so low how he said it, like like I don't know. It was that's my nitpick, but overall, great sequence. I'm excited to go into intermission because those are the juicy part to get into.
All right. So we go to the intermission. We come off that. And, of course, Kay's been a prisoner. Mike comes back. We have the hearings. She's unhappy, obviously. She doesn't really have much of a role in the film. We go back to Vito. He's a Don now, right? He's doing the Don thing and whatnot and everything. And we get like his first Don duty is like helping the chick out with the dog, right? Like with the apartment and everything and whatnot. Then we go back to Michael with the hearings, and the one senator like helps him out and everything and whatnot. And then Tom reps him at the hearings and whatnot and everything. And then Frank Pentangeli's brother shows up. They bring him there to like get him to like not testify against Michael. What do you think, Cyber? What are your thoughts on that whole chunk of the film right there?
Where again?
Oh, I was saying after the intermission, when
Yep.
when Michael first comes back to the compound, sees Kay, she's been a prisoner and everything, and she's unhappy, and then we have the hearings, and we go back to Vito for a little bit, and he's a Don now, and he has to deal with the chick that has the dog, and is getting evicted from her apartment, and it's like the first time we see the him as the Don, right? And then we see back to Michael in the hearings and whatnot and everything, right? And then the senator from like the horror murder like helps him out. Tom Hagen or whatever Tom's is helping him out, whatever, as the lawyer. And then Michael gives his statement, and Frank Pentangeli changes his statement and whatnot and testimony or whatever, whatnot, because they bring his brother there. That part there.
Okay. So the whole K thing, once again, Diane Keaton sucks. And Diane Keaton sucks. And this scene right here, like, is probably one of the ones that pissed me off the most. I mean, I would literally strangle the bitch. I'll be honest with you at this scene. I was like literally sitting there and just like when she tells him that she killed their baby, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I mean, he was very gracious by just slapping her, like literally. That was very kind of him. And but at the same time, it's just like you feel like you're a prisoner, blah blah blah, this stupid stuff. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, he basically said you're free to go anytime you wanted to, like literally, like so that whole thing, like she just annoyed the hell out of me, and I mean, it was so stupid. And but at the same time, like Pacino was fantastic in that scene. I loved Pacino in that scene. I thought he did a fantastic job, really well done. Like I said, the courtroom scenes were fantastic. His statement he gives was really well done. Tom doing his thing as the lawyer was really well done as well. Him, basically saying to the panel, he's been gracious enough to answer all your questions up to this point. I think it's very, nice if you would let him give his statement, and he gives his statement, which was really good. And then going back to Vito, being a Don now, that this whole sequence was really fun. Him dealing with that shyster apartment guy, and basically like after he says, here, I'll give you all this money in advance and all this stuff, and then basically say, go and talk to people around town. They'll let you know who I am. And he comes like, basically groveling back to him. Oh, have your money back. She can live there for free, and he can keep the dog. Yeah, keep the dog, and stuff like that. And it was like kind of funny. Like at first, like when they're first having that first conversation, he's like, "Are you kidding me? Who do you think you are?" and stuff like that. He doesn't even know who he is. He's like, wow, like you could have just been killed, bro. And so I mean, that whole sequence was so funny. Him like coming into the office and like trying to get back out the door and everything and stuff like that afterwards. And that was just a really great comical moment there. And I just want to point out the gentleman there that plays like one of his sidekicks during this time frame, the gentleman with the really curly hair. He is a frequent actor that is in several Adam Sandler films. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was in Wedding Singer as his brother-in-law. He was in Little Nicky, and it was funny seeing him so much younger. And like I was like, holy crap, that is that guy. And I was like cracking up, like seeing him so much younger. And I'm like, wow, his hair actually looks exactly the same too. He was going bald then as he is now. And I was like, wow, I was like, this guy really hasn't changed. And it was just funny seeing him in something else other than a comedy film.
Yeah.
And of course, Bruno Kirby is fantastic in this film too. A very young Bruno Kirby. And he was really fun too as well in that sequence, dealing with that guy and that shyster guy. And I think that if they go back to that scene where he asked Vito to help him hold the guns for him, and he's like, oh, I'll give you a present for holding for me, and he like gives him that rug, and they go in, they just steal that rug out of that person's house. Was absolutely freaking hilarious too. But yeah, really great sequence, really well done, very interesting, kept me very intrigued, and just overall more excellent scenes added to this film.
Andres.
Yeah. Speaking of the actors that Cyber was talking about, the actor that plays the Kelly hair, he's in some of the mafia films. He's in Goodfellas. If you,
Yeah,
I when I first time I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, that's him from Goodfellas.
he's frozen in the truck.
Yeah.
Frozen in the meat truck.
Yeah, frozen in the truck. Oh god, his death. It was, but he got it anyway, so it's not. It is his fault. Trusting the Jimmy. Anyway, but yeah, Kate, the abortion thing. Look, I think this is gonna divide people. I'm with Kate. I mean, come on, Michael. I'm not rooting Michael as a hero. He's the villain of this story. Like Vito is more a hero than Michael is. I don't care that Michael is a soldier. Like the fact he's so vicious in this whole movie makes him the villain. Like the fact that he's going to kill his brother, it's like.
But you got to think about the time significance of when this occurred back then. What abortion meant back then.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's not really the point of the scene. The point of the scene is like Kate, doesn't like it, but the thing is, she doesn't want this child to be in this violent, part of the family. Like, look at Michael. Like he brought the brother. The brother of Frank, to just terrorize him and like make him lie to the court so that he controls him as well, and like that's ruthless, I think that's kind of like just ridiculous. And then and of course he promised Kate to go legitimate, but it's already past 5 years or whatnot, since the first movie, so he already broken his promises. But then at the same time, I do agree with Cyber, but for different reasons. Like Kate is very smart. I don't know why she married Michael in the first film. It's just like I don't know. I don't understand Kate.
What about his rights to the baby?
I don't know. I mean, if he has a time machine, he can reverse that, but he doesn't have the rights for that. Anyway. What else? Yeah, the what is it, the landlord scene? I find that funny. It's like, see, that scene is for that's like poor comedy. Like, I don't there's funny scenes in in these these two parts of Godfather, but this scene is the best comedy for the Godfather. Like this landlord is so like aloof, like he doesn't know who Vito is, which is funny.
He opened the door.
The door. This is like he opens his door the first time, and then him trying to get out is like, oh my god, you're so stupid, sir. Oh my god, it's just so funny. But yeah, I'm happy the lady can keep his dog. I'm happy about that, And the mom, actually, I did like a bit of the mom because she's here and there. I like how the mom like also helps out the business a little bit, and she like gave the landlord, no, the friend to Theo to like fix this whole situation. Like I dug that scene. I dug that the mom kind of like is helping out a little bit. But yeah, anyway, great sequence. I'm excited for more of the juicy stuff. Yeah, really, the conversation with Vito, the conversation with Michael and Fredo is the best scene about this film, and we'll get into that soon.
What are your thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, look, again, we'll start with Vito then and the landlord. I think that is that's an eye into, I guess, him just being smarter than the average gangster in that he knows that, look, I could shoot you now, look, and I'll get what I want, but just go away, ask some questions, and then I'm going to get what I want for the longest time. I'm going to be able to take money from you for the longest time. So I think that's where he's just a little bit smarter than everyone else. But I think that's a very, very funny period of the film where he's willing to, give him a second chance just to go and find out who he is and what he's done, and then you can make your own decision. And if you're smart, you'll come on board. But if not, well, I'm probably end up killing you anyway. So I think that was very cool. I do like that bit a lot. I think again, you're seeing again the Senate hearings, and you're right. It's so cold. Like he has no. They go to Italy to find Pantangeli's brother to bring him back, and all he does is sit in the crowd, and that's it. There's nothing. It's like it is so brilliant, and the look on Pantangeli's face, looking back in the crowd, and the smugness of the FBI and all the people thinking we've got this case won. It's a home run, and it just within 10 seconds it's over. And I think that just I love that. Yeah, and on Kay, she knew what she was getting into from the start. Like she knew. You'd have to be blind, Freddie, to turn up to that wedding in the first movie and not realize that it's the mob, right? So minute one, you sort of know that some shit's south, but but she knows before they get married. Like he goes away, he gets married to someone else. He kills someone, he moves away, he marries someone else, he comes back, and she's still waiting and pining for him. Like, sorry, darling, you don't get to decide 10 years in that you don't like the way that the food's put on the table. I get that, yeah, you may not want to bring another child in. Does it excuse her for what she does? Probably not. Is she lucky to still be alive? Probably yes. And that is, I mean, I don't know if we've got there yet, but that is actually, I think that is as cold as Michael gets at the end of this movie, is as cold as Michael gets in total with Kay. And so I'm sure we'll get there. But look, yeah, I love it. This movie is completely engrossing. There's not a bad scene. There's no fill. Everything is for a purpose, and that's what I love. So, I'm actually got it on in the background here. I'm just actually watching Frank Pantangeli sit on the couch and be panicking about what am I going to do? He knows tomorrow my life is over. And but it's going to be over for a different reason, Frank, because your brother's about to turn up.
Of course, Michael turns off to Fredo too. Before that, too, before
yes.
the end of the hearing, But so basically, then we get Kay and Mike, and we get the end of the film, where it's Kay and Mike, fighting it out, and back to Vito in Sicily, taking care of Don Chichi, right? And and they take care of Fredo, Pantangeli, they take care of Roth, and then we get the throwback scene with Carlo getting introduced to Connie. So, Andres, your thoughts?
Okay, all right. This is the big one, folks. The big climax of this film is 100% great. Like, I mean, so dark. Like, you think Dark Knight was dark? Like, this movie is so vicious, so dark, and it's like, oh my god, it's so relentless. I mean, first, I want to bring up the conversation of Michael talking to Freyo. That scene is really great because of the actor, Johnny Cosole, the
Kazal.
Cassell. Thank you, man. Who played Freyo. That scene is so great. Just him just explaining his motivation why he did it and why like him telling us like why he didn't know, like it's just so good. And like Al Pacino comment on like an interview or something that like the reason he was the greatest actor, he just knew how to command that scene. And that this scene he really commands that. It's just him saying like I got run over, over the family, as
I
the
want
Godfather.
respect. Yeah.
Yeah, and respect. Like that's so good. And like you do feel sorry for him. Like I do feel sorry for him, but I don't condone his action, what he did to Michael. But oh my god, then towards the end when Michael say, I don't want to know you, I don't want to see you, I want to know every time you come here, it's like, oh my god, Michael. So bad. Um yeah, and it was really sad. And then trace into the mother funeral. Like I this detail was so shocking when he goes to hug Freyo in the funeral of the mom, and the music swells because you think that Michael forgive Freyo, but it isn't because he starts to close out to his bodyguard Al to like confirm that he's going to kill him now the mom is passed. And it's like, oh my god, why? It's like, oh, this is so bad. Yeah. And so like that, like it confirms that he's dead meat. um and poor Frank, poor Tom, both of them. Like Tom, he's been a good soldier, right? When everything is done, like Michael has won, right? And, and, and Michael so cold, like he just treats Tom so crap. Like at least Vito treats Tom like respect and like he gives to listen to his thoughts. Like but Michael is so vicious. Like he doesn't take his time to listen to Tom, to reason out, like not to go too far to make him be suspicious or a suspect, for the government and all that, FBI. And like, and then he throws this awful shade at Tom, like, why did you like pass down these job opportunities, and why you're gonna leave with your family and mistress, which that crossed the line with me. With Michael, the fact that he brought up that, it's like, how rude are you? The fact that you tell early in the film that Tom is your brother, and now you're gonna just bring up these personal things, like easily threatening him in that moment. Like he was threatening Tom, and I just did not like that. And that's where I knew that Michael is really vicious and cold, like for as a villain. But I just agree with Matt, with Kate being the coldest is really like when Kate was leaving, and then like she's trying to say goodbye to her kids, and then you see Michael coming into the section. You don't know what's going to happen, and then he shuts the door at her, and it's so cold. Oh my god, it was like the worst burns. Not even saying anything; it's just closing the door at her. It was so bad. And just wrapping up things, the montage. Like this montage is different from the first movie. Like the montage of the massacre of the five families was very like classic, like they were gonna die. Here it was so dark. Like you seeing Frank slit his to commit suicide, which was hinted at when he was talking to Tom, was like so dark. I felt like, I mean, he did it to protect his family, so I feel really bad for that. And then of course, Roth. I mean, I didn't care about Ralph. I'm happy he died, but I was sad that was it the guy that shoot him? He got killed. I was like, oh my god, but like he did his job. I'm happy he did his job. But Fredo, oh my god, poor Fredo. Like he wanted to go fishing with Anthony, didn't happen. and then he know he was dead meat. He starts praying, and bam, he got shot, and that's the end of the story of Freya, which is so sad. And getting to the flashback. What I like about the flashback now, if you don't know, when you realize what this flashback is important, it reflects on the next final shot we're going to see is Michael being alone. That's the whole point of the flashback, is that Michael is truly as Cyber say and Matt say he's the father of Vito, because the reason is because he's alone. He's a loner. He is so calculating and cold, and that's how he has become the Godfather. And this final shot really reinforced that he is the Godfather, but in the cost of the family and all that, because where his other family, they truly liked each other, but that was the problem with the Corleone family. They were trying to mix family and business, but that never worked at all. We see that every mafia movie. And so with Michael, he really separates his family from the business what he was doing most of the time. And that's why he always can be this cold towards the people, But yeah, I just last thoughts, great sequel. One of the best sequels. I mean, top 5 tier sequels ever in cinema. I highly recommend it. It's one of my personal favorite films and the trilogy. But yeah, I just dug it. I'm excited to hear your guys' thoughts.
Matt.
Yeah, I guess the finale had big shoes to fill, because I guess the finale for the first movie was so epic. But it builds so patiently towards an ending that is inevitable. And with Michael just again showing his absolute vicious side, as Andre said, I think that the actual subtle brutality that he has with Pantangeli, with his brother, to ensure that then Tom goes in to ensure that he commits suicide. Tom actually tells him essentially, well, you know what you've got to do. And then obviously Roth gets assassinated as he's already being he's trying to flee the country. He gets assassinated at the airport. And then we're all waiting to see what's going to happen with Fredo. And I'm actually just watched it again in the background here as we're doing this, and that just how cold it is that it's under the guise of him bonding with his nephew to go fishing, which is what they've done for day after day after day, to then have him still think it's all going to be good, and have him call Anthony out of the boat to go to Reno. And then you know what's going to happen out there. And the funny thing is it's actually just happening right now. Funny thing is that I guess it wasn't until we were blessed with widescreen TVs that we really got to see the gun come into view to blow his head off. In the old days with the square TVs, you would just hear the shot and you'd see Fredo fall. It's just such it's an absolute masterpiece of a film. It's incredible. To actually kill the landing and absolutely crush it in a film that is so I guess monumentous in its scale, and have the finale really be the focal point of the film is pretty incredible. And to see Fredo now is being shot as in the background here and Michael standing at the windows and actually looking out. It's one of the few times, and hats off to Michael, because it's one of the few times that he's not at arm's length. He could have left. He could have not seen that, but he stood. He goes, "No, I need to see this through, because this is as cold as I'm going to get." Until such a time as he then shuts the door on Kay with the kids, essentially, divorcing her out of the family and any sort of position she has with the children. Which, if you think about the last shot in the first movie, where she's looking into the office and the door is closed by one of the henchmen again, she's continually on the outside. She was never in. So this is inevitable for her that her position is going to be on the outside. Yeah. And again, it's so brilliant how they've been able to go back and forth between the movies. This I guess the insert shot at the end, which was filmed without Marlon Brando. So that's supposed to be, Vito coming back, and that was filmed. They could get everyone back, but Marlon Brando wouldn't come back. So that was filmed without Marlon Brando. And you're right. It's essentially, I think, it's just to show how it doesn't matter. Michael's always been alone. Like he dances to the beat of his own drum, and he's going to be alone forever. And essentially, you see that in Godfather 3. He's alone. Like he's a broken man. And what a poor movie that is. But anyway, that's a whole other podcast, I'm sure. But yeah, look, I got nothing. It's a 5 out of 5 movie for me. It's 10 out of 10. It's Andres, you said in the top 5 sequels, it's arguably the greatest sequel ever made. Like I think that you could easily you got Empire Strikes Back, and you got Aliens, and you got T2, and you got all these things. But in terms of scale and grandeur, and it's very difficult to argue. If someone said this is the greatest sequel ever made, I'm in on that. If someone said that it's not, there's an argument for that as well. But it's just perfection. That's all I've got to say.
Cyberneticshark, sir.
All right. So the final portion of this film is very well done. It's very enjoyable. It keeps you entranced the whole time, just waiting to see what Michael does. To comment on the scene where he closes the door on Kay, I was applauding in that scene because it was perfect for what needed to happen. Because she's lucky he did not kill her right there.
I agree.
100%. He could have just said, "Screw this! I'm gonna blow your brains out right now." But he didn't. He just closed the door, and the look on his face was pure imagination of beautifulness. It was perfection. Pacino played that scene like it was the last scene on Earth. He just was so fantastic there. And just as he was closing it in, we got to see that alien face a little bit more, and you got to close that door so that we can't see it more. Anyways, so that scene was fantastic. I loved it. I thought it was great. And to talk about the scene with Fredo, which once again, to go back again to quote City Slickers 2, John Lovitz, once again, John Lovitz does this sequence, does this one too. First thing I said out of my mouth as I'm watching it, holy shit, this is John Lovitz once again, quoting from City Slickers 2. And I was absolutely just like intrigued by it. I was like, now I get it. I get the scene. And it was I can see why John, was considered such a great actor. He was considered so wonderful and awesome. And he was a very good actor. I mean, Dog Day Afternoon, he proved that. I mean, pretty much anything he was in, he was always really good. And I mean, I personally didn't think that he was anything that fantastic in that scene, but he did a good job. I thought he did the purpose of what he needed to do for that scene. And at the same time, I just thought Lovitz did it better. I'm sorry, I can't help it. He did it so much better. And so anyways, it was a great scene. Anyways, though, but just the look on Gino's face, as Fredo's telling it, because also at the same time, how Fredo was like sitting while he was telling the story, I felt was kind of not very nice to when as he's talking to Michael. I don't think it's I think it wasn't very respectful. But at the same time, it's kind of like, telling that story from that position. Okay, that's fine. But, I still think that the scene worked really well and really was very impactful on this film and making it being, one of the greatest lines in this film. And, leading through that and, through the rest, I mean, I think one of my favorite scenes was when Vito gets his revenge on that mobster that killed his mother. And his brother, at that scene. I thought that was a really great scene. I love that. Really well orchestrated, really well done. I mean, when it cuts the guy, That scene, I mean, they cut him really good, and I thought that was really well done. And leading through the to the end where we have the climactic, all the deaths of all the different people, just like in the first film when they killed the 5 heads. It was once again, it was so well orchestrated how they did the scenes. Like they went to each person, had their death, or unfortunately, we lost one of our guys because he got killed in the process of killing one of the other guys. I mean, I forget what his name is. How he strangles the Jewish guy was like freaking awesome. Like that Jewish guy was just like he really looked like he was being strangled. He did such a great job. And then of course that Pantangeli, thank you. Him taking his own life just shows how much of a coward he was, I felt. And just showed that he knew that he was screwed. He knew it, and that's why he did that. And I didn't feel any remorse for him. And then as we get to getting close to Fredo's death, through the whole movie, the same thought process with everyone, as everyone has mentioned earlier. I was saying the same thing, like, oh, how do we know really? Is Michael really going to kill him? We didn't know. We didn't, and so that uncertainty really helped escalate that scene at the very end. And the gentleman in the boat with him pulling out the gun, you see him pull it out, and you just know it. And you can see Fredo kind of praying almost before he knows he's dead, especially because when Michael called Anthony back, and you're just like, no, don't kill Fredo. We need to see more of him. And then they kill him, and I was like, that's too bad. Because like the whole sequence there where the sister comes back and asks him to forgive Fredo and stuff like that, and you're thinking like he agrees to it, and you're like, holy crap, like he's actually gonna give him a second chance, you're like thinking. And so then all of a sudden he has him killed, you're just like, wow. Like, Michael, you are the man. You know what you're doing. And so I think that through these two films, I think you can see how much more Michael is even a greater Don than Vito ever was. Like, I feel he's like, everyone keeps saying he's more ruthless and stuff like this, and like he gets the things done and all this kind of stuff. And so I think that we're seeing the rise of even a more powerful Don by Michael coming into the family, because as we knew in the first film, Vito didn't want Michael to be a part of the family work. He didn't. And I think that, you can see probably Vito saw that in Michael, what the capability he had. And I feel the end of this film really proved that. And so I thought that it was so well done. I mean, I can't say enough about Al Pacino. He was just super fantastic. He deserved the BAFTA he won for this role. I wish he had won the Oscar for it, but unfortunately he just didn't. I mean, being nominated for 11 Academy Awards, winning 6 of them, I think is pretty impressive. Especially for 1974. I think by that time in 1974, I think this was one of the most nominated films for a few years before we got some of the other bigger films that came out, 10, 15 years down the road. But I know this film, it kept that record for a while. And I mean, it showed that this movie deserved every single one of those Oscar nominations from the beginning to end. It was just a really fantastic film. And even though this movie was 3 hours and 22 minutes long, it did not feel like 3 hours and 22 minutes to me. It did not. It felt like it flowed so perfectly. And like I blinked of an eye, it was already over, and I was like, wow, this movie just worked so well. And I just thought it was overall a really fantastically done end section of the film. Really great way of ending, and wonderful way of ending it with showing Michael alone, leaving it out, and overall just a really great last part of the film.
So ratings, are we all dropping 10s on this or what?
Yes.
10.
Oh yeah, 10.
All right, why don't we go ahead and do our plugs and we'll get the hell out of here. We'll start with you, Matthew, my good friend. What's going on over at Born to Watch podcast channel?
Well, it's a little bit excited. We've started to release some behind the scenes full episodes of the podcast onto YouTube, which is just fully unedited, just in the studio.
No
Video of the boys in the studio recording, which has been pretty cool. I had to get a little Bloodsport clip up there of the final fight yesterday. I was sitting at home in bed sick, so I thought, how can I cheer myself up? But yeah, so look, we're forever moving closer to becoming a live event, a la MCU's Bleeding Edge, but we're not quite there yet. But we're steadily growing. We have a lot of fun. We're just starting to plan for what we're doing over Christmas and what movies we'll be covering, and we're doing Shawshank Redemption this weekend, which will be good for next week. So that'll be a cool one to dive deep into. So yeah, having a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Good
There
film.
you go. All right, Cyberneticshark, sir. I'll pull you up right now.
John Lewis is a comedy gold. I agree, Cyber.
He's the best.
Oh god.
All right, folks. If you enjoy me here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge, I would check out my solo content on the Cybernetic Shark. Go check out my latest review, Slaughterhouse, which is a great horror comedy film that just came out this year. Check out my review on Killer of the Flower Moons, which I think was a fantastic film. As you can see there, 709, slowly getting there. 91 away from 800, and then 200. So that's 291 away from the magic 1,000 mark. Of course, if you enjoy me on here, definitely go check that stuff out. All my little shorts and all that kind of good stuff. Just recently did a whole bunch of Muppet little shorts there for you guys because I hadn't done any of those before. Love those movies. Even Muppet the Wizard of Oz, people, even though it's a TV movie, direct to DVD type of deal, still pretty fun. It's got some great one-liners, especially with Pepe the Prawn. Absolutely hilarious. Surprisingly, Ruby Gillman Kraken, Teenage Kraken, actually was a really funny film. If you have not seen it, go check out that short, people. We'll have a full review of that soon. But yeah, it was a surprise film. I thought it was actually pretty good. But yeah, just keep on trekking, keep on hitting that subscribe, people. Get us up to that 1,000 mark by the end of the year, me and Mr. Andreas. And, keep on trekking, keep on watching. We want to thank you all for watching. And, of course, sometime we'll give you some free stuff if you guys subscribe.
Yeah, if not, we're going to come after you guys. Just like Michael and Godfather Part II. If you don't subscribe to our channel, we're going to do it. Yeah. So... Anyway, hello everyone. My name is Andreas, pop culture guy. I hope you don't get offended with that comment. It's just a joke, all right? Anyway,
his name is Time Cop.
Oh my god, I'm sorry, folks. I'm up to 843 subscribers. I want to thank you, everyone, from bottom of my heart, supporting me and Cyber. Please help us hit that mark, as Cyber said before. So just give out my plan. This month I have some couple of Doctor Who content because this month is the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who. I'm excited because there's going to be new episodes soon in November later this month, so I'm going to put some Doctor Who content. Tomorrow, check out my Godfather tribute for the first film because today we're doing the Godfather Part II. I thought, hey, let me do that now. So yeah, and Friday check out my top 10 Doctor Who companions. So that's my plan for this whole month for November. So
are we doing any live stuff?
Yes, and last thing, live stream. Me and Jeff are gonna promise you we're gonna do it live stream. We had some mishap. Go see our Monday report. We explained that. So we're gonna do it this Sunday. So thank you everyone. Let's get out of here right now. It's getting too late.
All right, folks. We love you. This is the Godfather review in the tank, baby. We'll see you later. Peace.
Bring the band in. Woo! Well, all right. Yeah, they want me to fit in, but I can't. I'm too different with it. Too advanced to think. You know my intuition. I got bars and ink, but never in a prison. Too far gone, never gonna sit and listen. Listen, this is